GMB Pros. Thanks you everybody for joining us. Those that are here live, Rafael, Carlos, Austin. I appreciate you guys here. Those that are catching the replay, I appreciate you already on the Facebook. They've, Jonathan hit me up. Hey, is there going to be a replay? I want to catch Mike Dee. As you guys can see, he's our guest today. I was super excited. This is one of the really coolest dude. I seen him in stage in the Philippines with our we had our event, William Jones Marketing, and with Kurt. He was there. I think am I mistaken? Probably the youngest guy on that stage, right, Mike? Maybe or close to
One
it.
of them,
Yeah, yeah,
for
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, that's where I first met Mike. I've seen Mike on YouTube, so it was a real pleasure meeting him in person. We did an after party together. We got to, chat a little bit, get to know each other a little bit, each other's story, which is fantastic. I can't wait for you guys to hear where Mike has come from, where he's at today. Very successful, very in the trenches, guys. So again, with GMB Pros, guys, we want to give you stuff that you guys can use. And I think in this case, it's going to be on you. Grow your agency to be able to help other clients. But this is going to be one of them shows, definitely a rewatcher. And take this that with that mindset, how do I grow my agency through Facebook, right? So, Mike, with that said, my friend, why don't you introduce yourself a little bit, where you're from, for those that maybe don't know you, and kind of, take us on a journey, how you got to this point.
Yeah, for sure. So I started the back. I started the YouTube channel back in 2016. I was a university student, and so I was like, okay, when you start a YouTube channel, you should kind of combine multiple things. So, firstly, one thing that you're passionate about. A second thing, something that you can monetize and actually scale. And the third thing is something that you're quite good at, that you're an expert in that field. So I was a university student, and so I was like, okay, I'll start making videos on study motivation. And it didn't take too long. It took me about 6 months of uploading before I got my first video to 1 million views. Now, about 7 years later, we're at almost 1.2 million subscribers on YouTube. The channel has pivoted quite a lot. So when I started it, I was living in the UK. I'm now living in Vietnam, going to conferences, talking at conferences, and just kind of, just kind of spreading the knowledge and teaching other businesses how to grow on YouTube.
Awesome.
What I can do is I can share with you, because I've done a bit of a presentation where I can go through a few things.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Now, guys, if you have any questions, feel free to drop it in the chat box. I will be monitoring that for Mike. And so please do not hesitate. I know this is dear and close to Rafael, as he's kind of building that following as well. I know that he's working on this. So if you have any questions, feel free to put it in the chat box.
Yeah, I was literally just about to say that, because I don't love like when I'm on a kind of a call and then I'm just being talked at. So like throw in as many questions as you like into the chat, and I'll see if I can help you as best as I can. But so with this, what I'm going to do is, like, you guys probably already know the basics of how to grow a YouTube channel, like the thumbnail, the titles, the content itself, the three most important things. But with this, I wanted to go a bit deeper. I wanted to talk about things that I've not talked about before in the talks that I've done in the SEO conferences. So, a super quick introduction of who I am. I'm the CEO of PlayStack, and at PlayStack, we basically help businesses grow on YouTube. We basically optimize everything from A to Z. So the thumbnails are optimized for the client, the editing is optimized, the intro, the outro. We also do a lot of consulting as well, and we're running a Black Friday offer right now until the 22nd of December, which we've cut all of our prices of all of our services by 50%. We don't just focus on YouTube, and I think this is really important. We don't just focus on YouTube, but because at the end of the day, views and subscribers are just in many ways vanity metrics. The real number is how many leads, how many sales, how much revenue are you making from your YouTube channel. Like that's what people really care about. And it's funny, I was talking to a YouTube channel, or business owner rather, a few days ago, and he had a tiny YouTube channel. He was getting about 200 views per video, which is relatively small. But he was closing about 7, because it was so targeted. The views were so targeted. He was closing 7 to 8 sales a month. And from that one YouTube channel, he was making $40,000 to $50,000 a month from a really small YouTube channel. So it just kind of goes to show that you don't need 1 million subscribers, as long as you have a very kind of targeted audience. So we focus on YouTube growth, we focus on the funnel, and we focus on the monetization. So the monetization engine would be the courses, the products, the services, the consulting that you sell. Then you've got the traffic engine, which is the YouTube channel itself. And then you've got the funnel that connects the two. It's very basic. It's a very simple model, but a place that we help optimize all 3 components. So 1 million plus subscribers on YouTube. This is my channel. I used to talk about speed learning, productivity, personal development. I'm moving more into productivity and AI right now. I've been on YouTube 7 years. This was my channel back in 2016 when I first started. I was very fortunate, actually, that it didn't take too long. But at the same time, I was very strategic in what I talked about. I found a gap in the market where a lot of channels were growing in that niche. And I was like, I bet I can make a similar video to that. And so that's what I did, and it only took a few months. And yeah, we sell a lot of productivity and speed learning courses as well. So the 3 things that I want to talk about here is, like I said, I want to go a bit deeper than just talking about the thumbnail, talking about the title. And so we're going to talk about the viral video formula. So how to essentially make a viral video. The art of open loops. So this is quite new. This is what all the big YouTubers are using. They're using open loops, not just in the introduction, but throughout the entire video. And I'll also share with you a channel audits cheat sheet. And maybe I can give you guys access to it a bit later on, just a Notion template. So if you guys have a YouTube channel, you can kind of audit your own channels by yourself. I think that would be quite beneficial. Any questions so far?
Sorry, Mike. No questions so far. Everybody's at the edge of their seat with no pad and pen.
So the viral video formula. So this is quite interesting. So credit to April. If you type into YouTube, April YouTube growth, you'll see here YouTube channel. I think this is a very, very clever formula that the vast majority of big YouTube channels, I'm going to use Mr. Beast. I think most of you, if you're on YouTube, most of you will know or have heard of Mr. Beast before. I like using him as an example because his videos are all exactly the same. They're made in the same way. They're different topics, they're different challenges, but the structure is the same. And this is the structure that he uses. And I like using it because because it works, right? He's one of the biggest, if not the biggest YouTube channel on YouTube. So the first thing is the title and thumbnail to set expectations for the video. So I'll open up his channel and I'll show you exactly what I mean. So we've got 217 million subscribers, which is insane. So the purpose of your intro is to meet and exceed your expectations set by the title and thumbnail. So as I was saying at the beginning, having a big face there on the thumbnail is very important from a psychological perspective, because when you're scrolling down Facebook, or not Facebook, YouTube, it's the faces that will catch someone's attention. As opposed to just an inanimate object. The faces are bright, the faces are clear. He's using a strong emotion. I'll show you another example as well. A slightly toned down version. So the Diary of a CEO, I don't know whether you guys have heard of this podcast. It's been blowing up this year and last year. But again, big bright faces. But also, interestingly, the faces are action shots, meaning the faces are a picture of the person actually speaking. So their mouth is open. So it looks like they're in motion. So again, it's all psychological. The best thumbnail designers are not, and they don't make the most aesthetic thumbnails, but from a psychological standpoint, the best thumbnail designers are the best psychologists, if you like. So yeah, a face with an open mouth or some kind of expression or emotion. But what I'll do is I'll click into this video. So this video here, $1 versus $100 million house. So the first thing is, if we see here, the first 5 seconds, so the title should match the thumbnail, which should match the first 5 seconds. So all of those 3 things should match each other. The reason here is because there's a lot of clickbait on YouTube. And if you can prove to the viewer that they're not being tricked, or they're going to get exactly what they clicked on the video for, then they're more likely to watch to the end. So you've got a big mansion here. I'm assuming that's going to be the $100 million house. Then you click into the video. I'll just mute it. And within the first 5 seconds, you see the $100 million house and the text. So that's quite important, that the title, the thumbnail, and the first 5 seconds, they all match. And he uses the same formula for everything, right? So here's another one, the $1 billion yacht. In the title, it's in the thumbnail. And also, I'd imagine, I've not seen this video, but I'd imagine it's in the first 5 seconds. There it is. And he uses that formula for every single video because it works. And so it's like, I like the idea of, in this situation, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. But, you know, if something works, then yeah, Carlos, I'll be sharing the formula. I mean, this is it, right? So 1, 2, so the first is the title and thumbnail. You need an amazing title and thumbnail, like you really, really do. At the end of the day, if you're not getting views on YouTube, I would quadruple down on how interesting, how clickable your titles and thumbnails are. And just look at other big YouTubers in your niche, or not even in your niche. So the Diary of a CEO is really good at this. So if you look at his thumbnails, for example, the savings experts, do not buy a house, do this instead. Or Jada Pinkett Smith exclusive, I just wanted to stay alive until 4 p.m. Like, they're very kind of clickbaity, very curiosity evoking. Stephen Bartlett, the host of this podcast, he knows how important titles are, because at the end of the day, you have two main indicators of whether someone's going to click on your video. There's a thumbnail and a title. And if you yep.
Real quick, like, I noticed between these 2 channels, like Diaries of an SEO, no matter which, it's the same look, feel, aesthetically, right? It's the title, the person's face, the title, person's face, you know, with red and white. Now, if you go to Mr. Beast, his is different, right? It's his face smiling is probably the most common thing. How, like, for somebody starting, do you want to have that same look across? Is it this here different? What do you see?
There's a few reasons why they do that. So firstly, it's for branding, right? If all the thumbnails are relatively the same, like the same formula. So for example, Mr. Beast, he's increased the brightness, the vibrancy, the contrast up to 11, because his audience are generally younger people. You wouldn't necessarily have these bright animated faces and emotions with a B2B YouTube channel, for example. But the first thing is branding. And then the second thing is time as well, right? So if you have the same formula, if you have, like, it won't take too long to create these thumbnails. And so I would say you probably don't need to focus too much on consistency of thumbnails, but it's more about getting the click in the first place. It's more about making sure that you do have a big face on there, making sure that it is bright and clear, making sure that there's no like small text or that can't be read, making sure that the thumbnail does actually represent the video itself. So those are more important than consistency of the thumbnail. What's also interesting is the Mr. Beast, on Twitter, he was doing an experiment, and you can see his teeth like he's got the same mouth in all of the thumbnails. What's interesting is about a month ago or 2 months ago, he posted a tweet. So before, his thumbnails were all with him and an open mouth, like shocked, like gasping at something. But then what he tweeted was that his click-through rate actually increased once he closed his mouth, and it just shows his teeth, which is quite interesting. But it's the same premise where, yeah, so you can see these thumbnails, they're all him with an open mouth, and then later on he changed them to a closed mouth. So that's the title and thumbnail in the first 5 seconds. So then we move on to the rest of the intro. So this is about exceeding the expectations of the title and thumbnail. So the first thing is creating a curiosity gap. So an open loop to incentivize viewers to stick around to get answers. So this is huge. And this is something that I just learned like 5 or 6 months ago. And there's so many examples of this, and in fact, it's so big that I'm going to talk about it a bit later on in more detail. So create a curiosity gap. So this is basically like a cliffhanger, either in the intro or throughout the video. So to give the viewers a reason to actually stay. Providing context of what the viewers need to know for the video to make sense, and leverage input bias. So you're kind of showing the effort or the money or the time. So again, Mr. Beast, he does all of these. So for example, in the I spent 7 days burning alive, buried alive rather, not burning alive. He said something along the lines of, I've been wanting to do this for months and months, and I've finally been able to do it. So that would be input bias. Again, it's really about sales. And it's like, okay, what is Mr. Beast trying to sell? Like, he doesn't really have many products and services if you go to his descriptions, but what he's trying to sell is watch time. He's trying to make it sound like the next 10 minutes or the next 20 minutes, you should watch his video. That's what he's trying to sell. So yeah, I'll go a little bit more into more detail about the curiosity gap a bit later on, that in of itself is actually a curiosity gap or an open loop. And then the fourth stage is the final construction. So show, don't tell. So this is really important. I see this with businesses all the time where businesses, they have a business person running their YouTube channel. They don't have like a YouTuber running the YouTube channel. And so often it can just be like a person talking, but then it needs B-roll, it needs like graphics, it needs a few pop-ups here and there, because YouTube's audience are very ADHD. Like, they will, as soon as they get bored, even for like a couple of seconds, then they're going to click to another video. So show, don't tell is important, and front load stimulus. So again, I'm not going to play any of his videos, but the first 10 seconds, the first 20 seconds is really where a video, like a lot of editing should go. Because at the end of the day, that's the hook. It's the same with Diary of a CEO. Their hooks are incredible. Like, they really understand that the first 10 seconds, the first 20 seconds. And one of the easiest hacks here is for any podcast on YouTube, have the like 10 or 15 or 20 seconds of highlights, like the most juiciest golden nuggets or the most important parts of the podcast episode. You have them right at the beginning, 10 seconds, 20 seconds, to hook the viewer in, to give the viewer a reason to watch the rest of the episode. And what we've seen with our clients, that increases just doing that one thing of adding like 10 or 20 seconds of really important highlights to the beginning of the episode, that increases the audience attention significantly just by doing that one thing. So if you've got a podcast channel, then definitely worth doing. And then one more thing is, what I used to do was I used to check my videos in 2x speed. So the video editor would edit it, and then they would give me back the video, and I'd be like, I'd watch it back, but in 2x speed, just to check that everything's okay. What I do now is I don't watch it in 2x speed. I watch it in real time. And then as soon as I notice myself getting a bit bored, then I will notice the exact time that I start getting bored, and then see if I can cut out any kind of fluff. It's so important with YouTube that you don't have extra fluff, or you don't have like a really long intro or a really long outro. And another really quick hack to get those to get the audience attention higher is cutting out the outro. So instead of having like a normal 30-second outro, 40-second outro, just literally having a 5 to 10-second outro, that alone will increase your audience attention. And audience attention is so important because the higher your audience attention, the more YouTube will push your content out and the more views you'll get.
Hey, I have a question, Mike, with the outro intro. Somebody's asking, is it better to do lives than pre-record and post? Like they're noticing they get more views and people coming to their channel on pre-recorded versus going live, like if you utilize StreamYard or any of the third parties to stream.
Yeah, so we're seeing both. So generally, I would say pre-recorded videos perform better. However, saying that, for time-sensitive YouTube channels, so we've got a few clients that do really well with live streaming videos. So, for example, one of them is they're quite well-known traders in the US. They're on CNBC News every weekend, and they do live streams, like 2 or 3 live streams a week. The reason why they do the live streams is because they catch the news. And so they basically report the news. And so if you're doing it live, then the kind of time-sensitive content, those videos do really well. And even their live streams get more views than their pre-recorded videos. But for most channels, their pre-recorded videos will do a lot better. But it's really just about testing the market. Like there's no really right or wrong way. Just test the market, and if your pre-recorded videos are getting significantly more views than your lives, then it's probably worth just going all in with your pre-recorded videos.
Thank you.
So yeah, the 1% rule. I really like the 1% rule. So this is from the book James Clear. I mean, the Japanese, I think they call it Kaizen. They've been doing this since the 1930s, and I'm sure the Japanese didn't even invent it. I'm sure this is not a new thing, but I like the idea of every single video, you get 1% better every time, like with every video. So every video, because there's a lot of components to making a really good video. So like the script, the thumbnail, the hook, the intro, the audio, the video, the B-roll, like there's so many different components, and it would be kind of overwhelming to make sure that every single component is optimized. But yeah, I like using the 1% rule. If you improve your videos 1% every week or every video, in a month, you're not going to see much difference. In 3 months, you're not going to see much difference. But in a year, you're going to see some massive compounding results. And yeah, I've got a cheat sheet later on, a kind of a channel audit cheat sheet where you can also kind of implement the 1% rule in, which I'll talk about a bit later. So the art of open loops. I really like this. Are there any more questions before I move on to the next part?
No, you're good, Mike. You're good. Sorry about that. I was answering in Facebook because we're live on Facebook.
Oh, cool. Okay, so the art of open loops. This is huge. I only really realized how important this was like 2 or 3 weeks ago, because so I'll explain to you first what an open loop is. So an open loop is where you open a story in your video, but you don't immediately close it with a satisfactory ending. So for example, if I said in my video, the single most important part of a YouTube script is the open loop, but I'll talk a bit more about that later on in the video. So I don't actually talk about it straight away. So that gives the viewer a reason to stay to the end of the video to hear that bit, right? And I was watching on Apple TV a series called Hijack, and I was watching it and I was seeing how many open loops they had in that series, and it's like 1 hour episodes. And in 1 hour episodes, they would have so many open loops. Like they would open a story, but they wouldn't actually close it. And then it made me realize YouTube is it's the same premise, where for a really interesting film or a really interesting series, they have open loops or they have kind of cliffhangers throughout the entire video or throughout the entire film. And then if it's a series, the last 60 seconds or the last 30 seconds will be this huge cliffhanger, this huge open loop. And that will make you want to move on to unwatch the other series and essentially binge watch, because it's the same premise. You want your audience to binge watch your YouTube videos in the same way that TV series producer on Apple TV or Netflix, they also want you to binge watch their series as well. So it's exactly the same psychological premise. So one of Mr. Beast's videos, I spent 7 days buried alive. This one here was posted 2 weeks ago, 105 million views. And so what a lot of people do is they have an open loop at the beginning in the intro, right? So they will say, "Hey, William." So they will say, like, for example, this example here, the single most important part of a YouTube script is an open loop, but I'll talk about that a bit later on. So that's one open loop right at the intro. And most people, or a lot of bigger YouTube channels, will have one open loop. But Mr. Beast, in this video here, in an 18-minute video, he had 13 open loops, which is insane. And I really feel like Mr. Beast, obviously, he's at the very top of his game. And if we can include more open loops into our videos, then the audience retention is just going to increase significantly. So I'll give you a few examples. Like, there was literally 13 of 13 that I counted in this 18-minute video, but here's a few of them. So right at the beginning, the first open loop is, "This is 100% real, and I'll be honest, I severely underestimated how hard this was going to be." So he's kind of suggesting that this video is going to get really, really intense, and you should stick to watch it because some unexpected things are going to happen. And then the second open loop, and this was like 30 seconds later, which probably means I'm going to run out of food way before the 7-day mark. So it's a 7-day challenge. Of course, he knows that he's not going to run out of food before 7 days. Like, you don't need a mathematician to calculate how much food you need for 7 days in your coffin to survive. But again, it's just an open loop. And the third one is, "This is already getting pretty hard for me, but like usual, you better bet it's going to get a whole lot worse." So again, he's kind of alluding to the fact that it's going to get a whole lot worse, / it's going to get a whole lot more interesting, because viewers at the end of the day, or people just in general, tend to like drama, providing that it's not drama in their own lives. So yeah, these are the these are the open loops. And then the channel audit sheet. So any questions before I move on to the next step? Any questions about open loops? Because that for me was a big one, and that's something that I've been implementing over the last few weeks, not only for my own YouTube channel, but for our clients as well, because it's just a nice hack to increase that audience retention. Because at the end of the day, audience retention is almost everything when it comes to YouTube. The first is a click-through rate, so getting the click in the first place, which is the title and the thumbnail. And then the second thing is keeping that audience retention high, and keeping people watching for as long as possible. So any questions about open loops before I move on to the channel audit cheat sheet?
No, not so far, Mike. You're good.
Okay. So 14 main components that can be optimized for the YouTube algorithm. I'm not going to go through each one, but the reason why I wanted to go through this was because it's quite easy to, like, when you're running a YouTube channel and maybe you've been running it for 1 year, 2 years, it's difficult to know what to improve. And so this list is kind of in fact, what I'll do is I'll bring up what I'll do is I'll share after this call. I'll share with you the actual cheat sheet, because what I've done is, I'll open it now really quickly.
Guys, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to drop them in, or even on Facebook. I'm monitoring both. We are live on Facebook, so feel free to post them in there.
Yeah. So the channel audit cheat sheet. So if you are looking to improve your channel, this is probably the easiest and most efficient way of doing that. So these are all the components that can be improved on your channel. So you can do video optimization, so the content, the title, the thumbnail, and these are ranked. these are ranked in terms of what will move the needle more than anything else. So the content itself, or the video ideas and the content itself, is the most important thing. Then it's the title, then it's the thumbnail, then it's the hook, then it's the video structure, etc. So if you are looking to improve your channel, it's probably worth starting right at the top here. And then what I've also done is, if you're struggling, if you're thinking, okay, how can I improve the content, then if you open the toggle, then I give you a Loom tutorial on how to do that. They're really quick, like 10-15 minute tutorials where I go through very, very concisely exactly how to improve your content. Let's say you're struggling with thumbnails, you don't know how to create a really high click-through rate thumbnail. Again, you can open this, I give you a quick description, and then I have a 10-15 minute tutorial on how you can improve that. What's also nice about these Loom videos is you can pass, if you've got a designer, then you can, or if you've got a designer on like Fiverr or in-house or whatever, you don't even need to talk to them yourself. You literally just send them this Loom link, say to them, please watch the video, and you're essentially training them just from that Loom link. So yeah, I just wanted to go through that because I think it's quite beneficial for people that are trying to improve their YouTube channels.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, that's the main things that I wanted to talk about. If you guys have got any questions, then do let us know. What I can even do is, if anyone has a YouTube channel in this call, then you can even throw your link up in the chat, and I can give it like a quick review and give you some ideas of how you can improve the channel. Because usually there's some quite obvious things, like the thumbnails can be optimized, the titles can be optimized, the intros, the outros, those kind of things.
So if anybody has a YouTube channel, throw it up there. I'm going to put mine. I'm just getting started, like really new, Mike. So be kind. So yeah, this is something that you know, William talks about it all the time, and we were talking about it earlier, is picking one channel, right? And doing great at that one channel. For Mike, it's YouTube, right? And he just gave us the formula on how to become great with the one channel. I'm sorry, Evergreen SEO. I think I just had a misspell there. With the one channel, you know, and these are, you know, this is mine. I had one purpose, and as I'm growing, I'm changing, obviously, the direction a little bit, but it's imperfect action, right? Just get out there and put something out there, and just like Mike showed in one of his slides, become 1% better, right?
Exactly. You know, a lot of people, and I hear this all the time, a lot of people, they come to me, they say, Mike, I want to start a YouTube channel, but I've not got this, or I need this, or I don't know how to do this. And I'm like, just start. Like, the most important thing is just to start. If you even Mr. Beast, you look at his videos, you look at his oldest videos, they're absolutely terrible. Like, he didn't care about thumbnails, he didn't care about titles. The main thing was he just started. And then he put his face in the videos maybe 7 years ago. But I mean, they were terrible, which is amazing to know. That are very kind of refreshing to see someone like one of the biggest YouTubers, their channel was really not great when he first started. And so he obviously implemented the 1% rule, getting better for every single video. And he's posted 771 videos. And imagine, like, every video you're getting 1% better, then you know, that's the main thing. So yeah, and also, like I was saying earlier, you don't need to have 1 million subscribers to be earning a lot of money on YouTube, providing that your channel is targeting the right audience. So I mean, I can do a super quick channel review of this. So the first thing would be, if we let's go to the live videos. So it's good that you have your face here. So from a psychological perspective, that's quite important, because that gets clicks. You've got kind of an action shot. Your hands are in the air, so it shows that you're talking. I'd imagine this was a screen grab, right?
To be honest with you, Mike, I just go live, and I don't know who picks this. It's through Streamyard. I don't know.
Yeah. So the algorithm. So you're obviously very animated when you talk.
Yeah.
But yeah, but it's good that you have a face there. I think the titles could be improved in terms of like website examples, so that could obviously be made more interesting. But it really depends if you've got these videos up here to attract a new audience, right? If you don't care about views, if you don't care about getting new views and getting a new audience, then it doesn't really matter. You can post whatever, and then essentially the YouTube channel is a video library, where clients that are prospects that are interested in you, they do a bit of research, they come across your YouTube channel, and they see that you're legit because you know what you're talking about. But if you are looking to get more views, then I would be a lot more kind of concise and clear with the titles, which you might as well, because like, who knows, like one of these videos could go viral just because you have amazing content and the thumbnail and the title is really good. So for example, website examples, instead of website examples, you could say, I don't know what the video is about, but you could say, which is also one of the problems because I don't know what the video is about just from website examples. Like, what type of websites are you talking about? SEO? Are you talking about like, I don't know, 10-figure business websites, that kind of thing. But if we go to your videos, so for example, this video here, the thumbnail, let me click on it. So these screen recorded videos are really getting quite popular. What I would also do with every single screen recorded video is I'd have a small, like, your recorded face in the bottom left or in the bottom right. You know how Loom videos are, where you have like the circle in your face in the bottom left. The reason for that is, firstly, it increases audience retention because the viewer can actually see a face and they can see someone talking to them, and people want to see, in the same way that I'm talking to you and I'm looking at your face, Alfredo. I'm not even looking at the screen. I'm looking at your face because naturally people want to look at someone else's face when talking, even to a camera. It's very strange, like talking to a camera for the first time and not seeing a face. Like, you're talking to something that is not talking back or not looking back or not reacting back. And so just having a face there in the bottom left or the bottom right helps with audience retention. It also helps with conversions as well and branding. So people don't necessarily want to buy from a faceless YouTube channel. People don't even necessarily want to buy from faceless businesses. If you think about Elon Musk, he has maybe 150 million followers on Twitter, yet Tesla only has about 20 million or 25 million. So people would rather follow other people. And it's why personal brands are so important. It's why, like, I like this title, this name, Evergreen SEO by Alfredo, and the personal brand, the personal touch is really powerful. Yeah.
So this is great, guys, because you can apply this, right? These are my mistakes, right? So apply it to yours and make that correction. So, you know, it's one, being consistent, two, it's just that learning process and getting better.
For sure, absolutely. And this was a 2-year-old video. I'm sure that if you made videos now, they'd be far more optimized, especially after this call.
That's right.
Yeah, and then like the smaller things like SEO, like hashtags in the description could be improved. End cards, there's no end cards at the end. End cards are super important because, you know, YouTube, they want your viewers to binge watch one video, then another, then another. And if you have end cards here, it just gives your viewers another option to click to one of your other videos. Yeah. I hope to see more videos on your channel in the next few months.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if anyone else has any YouTube channels that you want me to kind of review.
Guys, don't be scared.
Carlos says, I kind of leave videos with open loops. I never get to answer I asked for, and know it's to watch longer, but I have to continue watching to answer. So then I search another video. So the reason for this is, like, you can't go too hard with open loops. You don't want to be asking a question, then another question, then another, and then I'm not answering the actual thing. That's really important. So open loops are are important, but as long as you don't overdo them, especially when you're talking about B2B businesses. But at the same time, like I say, one of the easiest ways to increase your audience attention is to drop in a couple of those open loops, particularly in the introduction. So what I would normally do is I will write a script and I will have the introduction, then point 1, point 2, point 3, point 4, point 5, and then the outro. And then in the intro, I will go back to the script. After I finish the script, I will go back to the intro and I'll be like, okay, point 4 is really interesting. Stick around to that, or something like that. Just to keep that audience attention a little bit higher. And another kind of like small hack is reviewing your audience attention graphs every week, like every video. And if you look at your audience retention graph and you kind of study it after every video, and you see exactly what you're talking about when the graph goes up, and that means that viewers are interested in what you're talking about, and then you review every time your retention graph goes down and viewers don't care about that, and after like a month, after 2 months, after 3 months of doing that and really studying exactly what the viewers like, you get an idea, you get a lot better idea, and then you obviously pivot your content to exactly what the audience like. And that's what Mr. Beast does. He's obsessed with the algorithms. He's obsessed with that audience attention. If you ever get a significant, like a big drop in audience attention, then it's like you really should be studying, okay, why did that happen? And then you don't do that again. It's all a learning curve.
So I got a twofold question, Mike. I know you mentioned on your cheat sheet on the 14 areas to improve, will be tutorial links to that. So that will answer that question as far as like how to do things. Do you speak on, or do you offer any specific tools, just getting started, kind of bootlegging it, or as far as like if you're just getting started, any tools that you suggest to create thumbnails or edit videos?
So in terms of thumbnails, Canva is probably the best bet. I mean, Photoshop generally is the most comprehensive for thumbnail designing software, but I don't know whether you've used Photoshop before, but there's a lot of things going on, and so like if you're not a designer, then it can be quite overwhelming. So Canva is really good, and it's free as well. I would also suggest downloading vidIQ and/or TubeBuddy. I don't know whether you guys use that, but it's good for just kind of brainstorming ideas, SEO. There's a lot of tools that can kind of help you. But I also just like the idea of studying other channels in your niche. Like I say, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. Like, take a look at what Mr. Beast is doing. Take a look at what other big YouTubers or industry leaders are doing, and reverse engineering exactly why they became successful. And then you do that, but in your own way. You don't copy, you don't replicate, but you just take inspiration and take it from there.
Do you have a hack, Mike, to like, hey guys, just sit down and do it, get past your thinking, don't overthinking? Like, do you have a hack, like any specific time, or just start it? As far as just getting it done, getting past okay, I got my first one, or okay, I got my second one. Do you ever get approached with that type of question? It's like, hey, Mike, I want to start it, but and then like little pro hack or tips to, look, guys, just sit down and think of this or do this to kind of get past the first and get into a rhythm.
Yeah. So there's a few things here. So the first thing is, like, I think networking, and it's why I go to a lot of conferences. I think networking is one of the biggest like business or personal development hacks that are out there. Like meeting people where you want to be in 2 years' time, in 5 years' time, in 10 years' time. Like that's amazing for inspiration. Like whenever I go to, for example, SEO conference, and then I speak with other like big business owners, and I always come away from those with a lot of inspiration. So meeting other YouTubers, going to YouTube conferences, networking events, those kind of things really helps. Delegating as well, because ideally you don't necessarily want to be doing all the work yourself because there's a lot of things going on. And maybe at the beginning you need to, but I mean, you can use Fiverr and you can get quite good thumbnails designed for like $10, $20. Like it's not too much. Or you can hire a VA and then they can do a lot of the work for you. The idea here is you make it as easy as possible and as streamlined for you to edit, to post videos, right? So I've delegated every single thing on my YouTube channel except for about half of the script writing and the actual me being on camera. Everything else I've delegated. The reason being because I want to streamline every single thing. Another thing that I do is I match my tasks with my biological prime time. So your biological prime time is the time that you have the most energy during the day. And for me, it's as soon as I wake up. So I wake up at 6 and then I'm in a coffee shop from 7 until about 11. And my team know that they can't message me and I'm not going to reply unless it's very, very urgent. I turn notifications off on my phone and I just do like 4 hours of deep, deep work on the most important task of the day. And I do that every single morning for like 3 or 4 hours every single morning. And it's the most productive time of my day. And that's when I tackle that's when I have the most motivation, the most energy. And that's when I tackle the hardest, the biggest tasks. And so if I was struggling to start a YouTube channel or start a social media, that is the time that I would do it, at the time that you're at your most productive.
Awesome. I appreciate that, Mike. Guys, if you don't have any other questions, we're coming to the 46 mark, and I want to respect Mike's time. I appreciate you, Mike. As you guys are thinking of these questions, please put them on there. We'll get them answered. Now, Mike, one of the things, kind of the traditions I've kind of built into the GMB Pros with our guests, a fun fact about you, Mike, that nobody knows.
Oh, wow. Okay. I can give you a fun fact that maybe 10 people know.
Okay.
Because I don't know, there's my life is pretty public, and so a lot of people know a lot about me. But probably one interesting fact is that I used to have selective mutism from the age of about 4 to about 15. And what that means is that I couldn't talk to people outside of my immediate family and very close friends, which is very interesting because now I'm talking on stage to hundreds of people. I'm talking on a YouTube channel where millions of people are watching. So it's kind of like a big pivot in my life, going from the quietest kid in my school, literally the quietest kid in my school, to now talking on stage and and having a relatively decent sized YouTube channel.
Yes, I remember that story. Yes, he told me.
Yeah.
Can you share a little bit about how you started? Like, take us back to Mike when he was hiking.
Yes, backpacking.
Yes.
Yeah, so I was very unmotivated. I was very kind of lazy as a kid, as most kids are really. I had no real direction. I got pretty average grades at school, but and then I graduated high school and I didn't get very good grades, so I was rejected from most of the universities that I applied for. And so I did what most people do when they don't get very good grades. They go straight to a 9-to-5 job. I started working at a supermarket stacking shelves. And honestly, I loved it. It was great. It was a night shift. So I would start at 9 p.m. and finish at about 6 a.m. And it was beautiful because I was a massive introvert. And so just to be left alone in a closed supermarket for like 8-9 hours for the whole night was amazing. Anyway, I was working there for about 1.5 years, 2 years, and the managers, they pulled me into the office. The supermarket was going through this kind of turbulent time, and the competitors were eating into their market share. And they basically pulled me into the office and they were like, Mike, if you don't speed up, we're going to fire you. And I was thinking, I didn't say this. I wouldn't have the balls to say this, but I was thinking, I'm not getting fired from a supermarket. Like, there's no way these managers are going to fire me from a supermarket. So I did something very out of character. I left that night. I booked a one-way flight to Thailand, and that single out of character decision of booking a flight to Thailand to this day, 10 years later, the best decision I've ever made in my life. It was because I went on to meet some. I went backpacking Southeast Asia for the next 6 months, Singapore, Indonesia, like all of these countries. I met some incredible people, like business owners, scientists, musicians, pilots, normal people, homeless people, very wealthy, very poor. And that's why, like earlier on, I said how powerful networking is, because talking to people that were very successful, like some of them driving Lamborghinis and Ferraris, at least financially successful, they kind of made me realize that if you really work hard and if you work smart and you kind of work towards, as cliche as this is, you work towards your dreams, you can actually make them happen, which I didn't know before. I didn't realize that before. And so that's when I started the YouTube channel in 2016, because I was so motivated. And I told you I started the YouTube channel when I was at university, because I was so motivated. And I wanted to help other people go through that same kind of transition that I went through, from being very lazy and unmotivated, which is a big, big problem that a lot of people have, to actually realizing that if they do work hard, they can achieve what they want to achieve. And I graduated in the top 1% of my university, and I helped other people do it at the same time with the YouTube channel. I kind of documented the process. And so that's the reason why I started the YouTube channel back in 2016, because I just kind of wanted an outlet to help other people that were struggling with motivation in the same way that I was when I was a kid.
Man, that's a fantastic story. That I can listen to that over and over, right? I remember you telling me part of that in the Philippines at the conference. I appreciate you, Mike. I appreciate the inspiration, the knowledge drop that you have here. I hope it's an inspiration to the team as well. So with that said, guys, much love, much success, and I'll see you on the next one.